Ladies and gentlemen, the Dragonslayer, Sword of the Struggler, from start to finish. The adventure begins in Adobe Illustrator, as many of my swords do. Granted, I took a little bit of a head start on the design. We're going to take it from draft to final. And the first step here is sorting and organizing references. Some from the manga itself, and some from independent artists with their own take. And I fully intend to have a take of my own. That's the beautiful thing about art. The freedom to have your own rendition on things, your own flavor. Because yes, although the canonical references are right there beside me, I'm also trying to make this something that is even remotely swingable by a mortal. Now we'll do a little bit of swinging in the design file, while also making tweaks and comparing the versions against each other, a little something I like to call the gauntlet. There is something about seeing the sword at different angles and against its previous iteration that really brings out the subtle differences between features, giving me a chance to tweak around with angles, proportions, even just pointiness. Weigh it against the previous and see if I went too far. And if you were wondering, yes, my design process is this messy just about every time. Boy, these hands sure come in handy though. Now, why the Dragonslayer? Well, I'll tell you, it's not my favorite sword, although undeniably iconic. And not because it's my favorite manga, although absolutely legendary, but it has to do with the element of the struggler. This is where it hits me with immense meaning. But I'll tell you about that a little bit later. For a victor of the gauntlet has been crowned, and we say thank you and farewell to all past iterations, as we select them for the final time and click delete, like Marie Kondo does with house clutter. And now we enter the engineering phase of the design process. And my sincere apologies if staring at the screen has already gotten old. But it wouldn't be a Troll Carl sword if it wasn't overcomplicated and overbuilt. So now that we've got the essential look of the sword nailed down, we work on the cross-section, the thicknesses, a little bit of the puzzle craft that's going to go into how I put this together. And even the blade itself needs a thickness balance between appropriately ludicrous and actually wieldable. I of course have no idea how much this is going to weigh just by looking at it, but I'm ballparking what would be just absurd enough, like a sweet spot in preposterous proportions. I am also going to make this a 2-layer laminate, sandwiched around a central grip core, for what I hope will be very sturdy considering how much mass is being swung around here. And layer on top of it all the guard plate, disc, retaining plaque, I don't know what to call this. But this too needs a little bit of honing so that it doesn't look out of balance as a whole. An appropriate thickness of boof, if you know what I mean. Now here at the tail end of the grip, for the pommel to have something to grip firmly and bite into, as it too is going to be a 2-layer laminate sandwich. On the opposite end, the grip extends deep into the blade, building up a sturdy core section, and using that as the tang for the whole sword. The idea here is that this core needs to be insanely sturdy so that it doesn't break, especially where the grip meets the blade, the weakest point. And these circles I just added are going to be indentations for the blade to actually bite into this haft so that momentum doesn't send it flying. In the end, it's going to be built essentially like a giant ridiculous popsicle. But it shall be one glorious popsicle, and a hell of a workout. Ashman Athletics better watch himself, I'm coming for that top spot. Or obliterate my shoulder joints in the process. Now I promise, this is the last step in front of this damn screen, but I don't trust myself to have kept everything in perfect alignment. So I'm bringing the drawing into this specially prepared mirror canvas that reflects anything on one side of this vertical line, and this is the quickest and easiest way for me to be absolutely sure that I nailed symmetry, which is extremely important. I'll also fit a little final finagling into the drawing with this last look. Nothing serious, just moving some vector points around and seeing the guard at different heights. Then we bring it back into the original file in its refined form. And my friends, there we have it. The Dragonslayer, designed, engineered, and ready for the first stages of the actual build. One thing I've learned in the years of doing this is how insanely important it is to actually bring these drawings off the computer and into the real world before you build them. This is something I call life scale, and it's 100% not there in any digital drawing. Even with the reference fists, there's just nothing like seeing the thing in front of you. So we load the drawing up onto the CNC and trace it onto a whiteboard. This way I can actually hold my hand up against the sketch and get a direct glimpse of what this colossus will look like before I actually build it. And honestly, not bad. But it's still not enough. I must see the full scale. So I truck it to one of the maker spaces I like to hang out at and run the design through a laser cutter onto some cardboard and assemble the pieces together to get the full picture. Hell, even just hold the whole picture. But I will spare you all the extra screen time I spent preparing the drawing into these segment slices, and skip right to the good stuff, the cutting. This machine is a splendor, and it's actually the tool that started this whole sword making journey for me. It was learning to use the laser, and by extension how to design something in software like Adobe Illustrator, that the idea for a strong and well-designed training sword ever even hit me. So it's kind of cool to see how things have come full circle 10 years later. It was robots from day one. And I mean, can you see why? Why I love robots so much? They're delightful. But I digress. We are now back home with the cardboard slices, and we tie everything together with some two-sided tape and a long strip of scrap wood that I keep for jobs just like this. Followed by a little border highlighting with the marker just to make the details pop. And we take it to the great selfie mirror. But reminder, this is going to be made out of solid freaking hardwoods, and the weight is going to be quite ludicrous. But stylistically too, I feel like the blade is just a little bit overly wide. And this right here is the value of bringing things into life scale. Trimming down what feels just a little overly cartoonish, even though technically it is a cartoon. This kind of adjustment happens here and only here at this stage with the cardboard in the hand. Anywhere after this is too late. And yeah, this feels a little more reasonable. So I take down these new measurements, having trimmed a bit off the grip as well as the blade, and I plug those new numbers into the design file. One final comparison between the versions, and the final goodbye to all the versions that came before. Honored predecessors, we got it. Design work completed, and now for the final, and I swear this time this is the final, step in front of this damn screen to prepare all of this art into work plans. Dimensions of the lumber, widths, lengths, thicknesses, depths of cuts for the joinery. This is where sketches become toolpaths and cut lists, so that I can pick my project lumber with full clarity of how much I need of any one type of wood, as well as how thick or thin these lumbers are needed. Even capturing the angle of the blade bevel to replicate this cut on the table saw when that time comes. 13 degrees locked in. And that, my friends, is the Dragonslayer. Design and engineering come to full completion. In the next episode, we build.